Okay, so hello everybody, welcome back. The training video that we have for you today is how to open your call to the decision maker, how to do your introduction to the decision maker. So this is usually for a call which is a call that you may not have spoken to them before, and you're trying to introduce yourself or introduce some of your services or introduce a candidate. So we're going to use all three of those. So let's have a look at what we're doing today. So I'll give you an introduction to the decision maker and some ideas and some helpful hints for you. Why you need to get this right and what you need to say. I'm going to give you 3 specific scripts that will help you that you need to make your own, and I'm going to explain to you why each one of those works. And then, as usual, there's going to be some action points on there. Again, if you want to share this with the Facebook group, it will be much appreciated, and I can help you and critique it through and make it absolutely brilliant for you. Okay, so why is this part so important? Well, as you have probably already noticed, it takes many dials to actually speak to a decision maker. You should have already completed the video on how to get past gatekeepers, but these guys are busy. They're often in meetings. They're going to have other recruiters calling them as well. So they're going to view you as being a bit of a distraction rather than, oh yes, I'd love to speak to so-and-so by X recruitment agency who I've never spoken to before. So they can get loads of calls from recruiters, and this goes up pretty much tenfold if they're actually hiring. So we need to get this first part right, because they're going to make a decision on whether to continue with the conversation or not in about 7 seconds flat. So this is your opportunity to make a really, really, really good first impression with them. This decision will be based on your ability to influence them immediately. So we need to go in there with something really, really clear cut. You're prepared and you're able to get it out there. I suggest initially that you script this out, and you can use that script every time you speak to a new decision maker. You've got to sway their perception of you. You need to engage them, and currently you're a distraction. And remember, you're up against loads and loads of other recruiters that are trying to speak to them and get them and persuade them to use their services as well. An example of this, I'm going to give you some figures. I love figures. The facts about cold calling. Decision makers receive about 50 plus calls a month, which is 3 a day, which is an astronomical amount. HR decision makers, and if they're hiring, receive 100 plus calls a month. Some receive 200 plus. So this is absolutely imperative that you're getting in there initially with the right script, with the right benefits, and you're able to engage them into a conversation. Top 5 things that annoy decision makers are calling without a reason. So for me, that would be the very first thing I'd be looking at and give them a reason for your call. An aggressive approach, you don't want to be too demanding from them and make them do something, because it won't go down well. Calling too often without a reason. You need to have a really good reason to call your clients, and your client converter will really help you with that. When you're using the influence technique, which is reciprocation, that will really alleviate that calling without a reason. Over familiarity, so take into consideration how you're addressing them, whether it's Mr., Mrs., Ms., or whether you're using their first name. Flippant remarks right at the very beginning really put clients off, and so we're going to try and avoid those. And sound is scripted. Now, I know I'm saying to you, you need to get a script together, but practice it first. Practice, practice, practice. Do it in front of the mirror, do it into your phone, listen to it back, and see how it sounds. So before you even pick up the telephone, you need to know exactly what you're going to say. And as I said before, you've got to have an objective to the call. You've got to know what you're going in there to get. So let's kick off with the initial script. So this is calling a client who you've got a referral into. So somebody who's actually recommended that you can go in and speak to them. So nice simple script here. I'm going to explain to you why this works. So good morning, X. My name is Alison Whitehead. I'm a specialist industrial recruiter at Acme. Right. Let me explain to you why I'm using some of these terms here. So when I say good morning X, I'm probably going to say good morning Mr., Mrs., Ms., and their formal name. Clients don't like informality when you first meet them, as I don't actually if people are cold calling me. So use their full name and actually put your full name in as well. Instead of saying hi or hello, good morning gives the client a couple more syllables, a couple more seconds, even if it's like 1.5, just to tune into your voice, because at the moment you're going to be seen as a distraction. They're going to be busy doing other things. So give them a couple of seconds to get acclimatized to your voice. So good morning, X. So good morning, Mr. So-and-so. My name is Alison Whitehead. When I'm saying Alison Whitehead, I'm giving them my full name to appear professional. The majority of recruiters that I help and I train often go in a little bit too overfamiliar, and so use their first name. Do definitely put your second name in there. And then I tell them what I do. So I'm a specialist industrial recruiter at Acme. Whoever you're phoning, that's what you're specialist at, and make sure that you get that in right at the very beginning. If you've tried to get through the gatekeeper with yes, I'm not a recruiter, this is where you need to reveal yourself as a specialist and an expert recruiter. The very first thing I'm going to say next is the name of the person that's referred me in. So I'm not sure if Sheila Ward has been in touch with you recently regarding the recruitment partnership we have, but she suggested that I call you in regard to your own staffing needs. So I'm using several influence techniques here. The first one I'm name dropping. I'm using Sheila Ward as social proof and liking as well, actually, that I can use as a way in and get their attention and start persuading them that I would be a good person to speak to. I'm also telling them that we have a recruitment partnership, which gives them another persuasion and influence technique, which is the commitment one. I've already in a recruitment partnership, and a partnership does connotate that there is a definite commitment going forward with Sheila. And she suggested that I call you in regard to your own staffing needs. So again, we're back to the social proof. It's not me that's suggesting that I think you're the right person. You're a cold person. I've got no idea who and what you are. But Sheila is specifically said you would be right for me. So a load of liking and social proof in there. Right, a little bit more then, just to pad it up a bit. We've been working with Excel for a number of years and have been able to streamline her recruitment processes by providing great temps as and when she needs them. So a little bit of authority there. Authority, commitment, a number of years is the commitment, and the authority is the fact that I'm able to streamline her recruitment process. And I can provide her with what she needs. So loads of influence techniques initially in this. Remember, we've only got about 7 seconds to get them engaged with us. So the next question, I wonder if we might be able to have an initial conversation regarding your current or future recruitment needs. So although it's not a closed question, in fact, it probably could be better than that. It probably could be an open question here. So ask them a really nice open question on whether or not we can have a conversation to take things forward. And I would probably add in there, so, what are your current recruitment processes that you're looking at, or how are you currently recruiting for your staff? So a nice open question to be able to take them into the next part of the call, which, if you remember, is going to be finding out what their needs are. So this is a really nice script to use because it's got loads and loads of bits and pieces peppered in there, which will help with your influence skills. So if you're not currently using something like that to get a referral or start a referral conversation with a client, have a go at it and see if that one works for you. Now, I know you're not always going to be in a position where you can get a referral into a client. So the next script will help you with something which I call an MPC marketing call. Now, what I've put up here first is a typical introduction which I hear out there left, right and centre, which is actually a really poor example of selling a candidate in. Now, if this is ringing any bells for you, have a think about it and think about how we can change it. And I'm going to show you how to do that very shortly. So what I'm often hearing is, hi, my name's Jo Bloggs from ABC Recruitment. We have a proven track record of supplying quality staff into companies like yours. I've just interviewed a great candidate who's a Java programmer with 5 years experience in one of the best candidates I've ever met. Do you have any needs at the moment for a candidate as good as this? So that is typical. That's what your competitors are doing. That's what they're saying to try and get a vacancy from a company at the moment. I'm going to suggest we turn this into, we literally just put a rocket underneath it and do something completely different here, and put in a really, really nice structure of how to sell an MPC. So it's reasonably simple when you're looking to structure this introduction, but you have got 5 points here which are absolutely imperative that you need to get in, and in this order as well. So the first one is going to be an introduction, so your introduction to them, who you are. The second bit is we're going to literally put the benefit of that person right up the top there. Do you remember on the last one that we saw? In fact, I'll go back. We start talking about ourselves. We want to get off of ourselves immediately. We want to start talking about how the candidate is going to benefit that company. We've got no proof here at all on how great this candidate is. I've just told them that they're great. You know, I'm a recruiter, trust me. Clients won't go with that at all. So you need to prove that this person is going to be good for that company. So get in 3 benefits, and 3 is a magic number. 2 isn't enough. 4 might be too much, but 3 is absolutely the magic number. And believe me, I've been doing this for a while. So as soon as you've got those 3 benefits in, and the nice thing about benefits is you can use some of the information that your candidate has given you during the interview process. So I'm going to give you some of those questions as we get on to candidates, but it's just as a rule of thumb, ask them what their top achievements have been and how they can prove that. Clients really love facts and figures. So any proof that you can put in that they've benefited their current workplace or company, you want to get these into this call and get it in really quick and right at the beginning. Then you can go into a little bit of background about that particular candidate, their experience, how many years they've got, and what type of industries. Once you've done that, you're going to be in a position where you can start really turning up some heat. And what I'm looking at with turning up heat is using scarcity as a way of influencing your client to actually want to take some action. And then I'm going to suggest that they do something, which might be an exploratory meeting or more information or a chat with me about it. So you need to give them a call to action at the end and get them talking to you. Let me give you a script here, which I've taken from a client that I'm working with at the moment. They've agreed that I can use it, and it's working absolutely brilliantly for them. Okay, so good morning, John. This is Alison Whitehead calling from X. We are a specialist recruiter in your industry. So I would get that down pat. Now you can use John if you want, but I would probably much prefer Mr. So-and-so if you've never spoken to them before. If this is a call where you have spoken to them and maybe you're on your 3rd or 4th touch point, then feel free to use their first name. You're over that over familiarity issue which your clients will have with you. Again, I would use my full name because the amount of calls that they have coming through are astonishing, and you really want to differentiate yourself out there from the other guys that are trying to sell candidates in. So I'm calling from whatever company you're calling from, and tell them what you specialize in. Okay, so I'm calling today in connection with a fantastic candidate which I'm representing exclusively. So the influence technique that I'm using here is what? Have a think. Yeah, okay. If you've got it, it's scarcity. So you're going to be going in with the scarcity one. They can't get this candidate anywhere else. And so it's really worth them listening to your call. So you're up in the ante straight away. Having worked with many prolific marketing firms, Sue has been responsible for 4 new product launches and 1 relaunch of a previously unsuccessful product. So we are telling the client that they are knowledgeable. We're telling the client that they've got authority in this area. So we're using a couple more influence techniques in here. She brought all 5 in within budget and timescale, saving her company over $30,000 in the 5 campaigns and exceeding their sales targets by a minimum of 15%. So there's your proof. the proof is in the pudding, and you're showing your client that not only do you think that they're great, she can prove that she's great by a really good past history there. So I definitely want to get those in there. And if you'll notice, there's three benefits in there that you are able to get right at the beginning of the conversation. Sue has identified you as an employer of choice, and okay, this is where the liking part comes in, and I am only introducing her to you and 3 other major marketing firms in your area. So again, we're using the scarcity technique. She will be interviewing with one of these firms next Tuesday. Oh God, turn up the heat, a bit more scarcity. So my call today is to find out if you'd be interested in speaking to Sue regarding present or future opportunities with your company. So a nice big call to action at the end. You're telling them why you're calling and what you want to get out of that call. Another thing that you can put in there might be, it could be, my call today is to find out if you'd like to find out a little bit more about this lady, and if so, can we get onto that part of the conversation? So this is like your opening. Please remember with these marketing calls that your objective isn't just to get Sue in front of this person for an interview. You can have several objectives for this call. So another one might be literally to show the client that you've got great candidates, and you need to find out a little bit more about the type of candidates they're looking for. So if you get a no, don't panic. Go on to the next part of the sales call. Remember, I showed you the sales call process, which is going to be finding out a little bit more about their needs, and we'll get on to questioning needs through very shortly. So don't be put off if you get a no, I'm not interested in Sue. Maybe you could go with the next part of the conversation, which might be, okay, so what specific roles do you often struggle to find the right candidates for, or what are you currently recruiting for at the moment then? So that's a really nice introduction to a client that you may not have a really good relationship with. You are literally showcasing that you've got a great candidate that might fit the bill there, using as many influence techniques as possible. You can use this script as a template for selling in pretty much any MPC at all. So I'm going to go back to this structure. So every time that you pick up the phone to do an MPC marketing call to a client, use this structure. If you've currently got something similar and you're using something similar, just tweak it a little bit and make sure, number one, that you get your 3 benefits in. That's absolutely crucial, and that you're turning up the heat to get them and influence them to make a decision on whether or not they'd want to see them. Now, this is very cool as well, because you can use this in your email marketing. So this structure, you can literally copy into your email and just add a couple more bits and pieces. You might want to add a profile in there on your email as well, but that will put a rocket up your email's bum too. So loads of great information there for you. Now, you may be in a position where you don't have an MPC, or you're literally phoning up a client to qualify if they'd be right for your process. So you don't have anything that you can naturally go in with, if you like. You don't know too much about what their needs are, and you just need to introduce yourself to a client. I would then use this script, which has, again, several influence techniques in it. You've only got that 7 seconds to make a difference, and it will help you move into the next part of the call. So again, we're going to use some of the techniques we've used before. So good morning, Mr. So-and-so. If it's a cold call, use the good morning, good afternoon, and use their full formal name. My name is Alison Whitehead, and I'm a specialist IT recruiter at Acme. I understand. So you're using words like, you're trying to get away from yourself. You're trying to start focus on the client and take the focus off of you. You've already told him who you are. And you want to tell him that you've done a little bit of digging, you understand a little bit about his business, and you want to start talking about his businesses. You want to take the onus off of you and talking about you and going straight onto the client. So I understand that you're responsible for the recruitment of back-end developers for your team, and I would like to find out if there may be any synergy between our 2 companies. This initial introduction will really help differentiate you from any of the other recruiters that are out there that are being too overfamiliar and are not getting onto the client straight away. I currently work with this client, that client, and another client, so I do understand the challenges you may face when recruiting for this type of candidate. So we're using another principle of influence here, which is your authority, and also your social power of influence as well. How do you currently manage your recruitment process? So at the very end, I'm putting in an open question to move them from the initial introduction into the next part of the sales call, which is going to be finding out about their needs. This shouldn't take you much longer than that 7 seconds, and it will really set you up for the next part of the call. It will give you loads of confidence going into these calls as well if you can script it out initially. So you can use this with pretty much every client that you've got in there and literally just fill in the gaps. So do's and don'ts when using a cold intro. Do use their formal name. You don't want to put up any barriers in that first 7 seconds that you can. You want to literally lay it out there and get it the very best it can be. Do introduce yourself using your full name. You're probably not going to get another chance to do it. And it does look very professional and will differentiate you from your competitors. Don't, for goodness sake, ask if this is a good time to speak. I see that happening often. And if it's a cold call, you are immediately giving them the opportunity to duck out of speaking to you without even showing them what you're capable of doing in this call and how you're able to help them. So don't ask them if this is a good time to speak. Just presume it is. If it isn't, I am certain they will let you know, and that will come in the form of an objection that you'll need to overcome. Don't be apologetic. And when I say this, it's like, don't go in thinking, I'm sure you're a very busy person and I don't want to take up too much of your time and I'm so sorry for calling you. I'm bloody another recruiter. Don't go in with that. This is a B2B conversation. You may be able to help them. So go in with a nice amount of confidence, and having that scripted will give you that confidence. Don't ask them how they are. That's over familiarity and clients loathe it. So if you say, I hope you're well today, or how are you doing today? It's just not the right place for it. Once you get into your client converter and you start getting to know them, then yeah, that's a very polite thing to say, but right now it's not appropriate. Do ask an open question to lead into the next part of the call. That will really help you push the process forward, and your sales call process will naturally lead into your question and answer sessions. And do script it and practice it before the call. As I said, get your phone out, record it on your phone and see how it sounds, and see if you can get that absolutely tip-top. Okay, so as per usual, you're going to have some actions. Create your own script to use. You can take all 3 of them if you want and juggle them about a little bit, but don't go too mad. They've got everything in there that you need. So really what you could do is use that and just literally fill in the gaps, lay down different names in front of it and use it and see how it works for you, because I can guarantee you it will work an absolute dream. Give it a shot. You need to give it a try, and you need to practice it through. We've talked about self-coaching before, so self-coach yourself through this. Write down every objection they give you right at the very beginning and how you can overcome it. And I'm going to give you some more on objection handling later. Learn from it and try a different approach next time. When you do get the attention of the decision maker, write down exactly what you said to get this result and try it again on the next call. Now, I haven't mentioned this before, but this is modeling. So if you do get something right, you want to literally pin it somewhere and make sure that you're copying it again and again and again, so you're always going to get the right answer. Okay, so I suggest what you do next, guys, is go back, have a look at what you're actually saying, put a script together, give it a shot, and let me know how it goes in the group. Good luck with that. And the next training video that we've got is a slightly different opening. Actually, we're going to have a look at how to get client visits. And I'm doing this specifically because that's been asked for. So that will be your next training video. And then the one after that, we're going to do a recap on asking the right questions at the right time in your sales calls. Good luck, and I look forward to speaking to you.